Ed. The story we're going to tell today is called The Reluctant Dragon, and this is a very loose adaptation of a story by Kenneth Graeme. Long ago, not far from the rugged Maine coast, lived a poor farmer and his wife, and they had a boy, but the boy was different. You see, the boy cared little about farming like his parents or about chasing snakes and squirrels like the other boys. This boy loved only to read, and sometimes he would get so absorbed in his reading he would forget to do his chores. But his parents did not beat him because they knew that some people need to know the ways of the village and some people need to know more. Well, all the best pasture land close to the village had long ago been taken by the wealthy farmers, so the poor farmer had to drive his cow and sheep far into the hills to find pasture. One evening he came home all afluster. "It's a disaster, I tell you. The sheep were nervous and I was hearing noises and I went to the top of the highest hill and there's a dragon. There's a dragon in the chalky cave. Oh, what will we do? He will kill us all." "Now, father," said the boy, "I know much about dragons. They are in many books. Let me talk to him." And the parents agreed, and they were very proud to have such a brave and knowledgeable son. The next morning, the boy hiked up to the top of the highest hill. The view from there was magnificent. The brooks, the meadows, the trees sloping down toward the village. Beyond that, some smaller green hills, and beyond that, the blue of the ocean. And at the top of the hill slept a blue dragon, as big as 20 oxen, with claws as long as knives. "Mr. Dragon?"
"What do you want?"
"I just want to talk to you."
"You won't throw stones at me or poke me with sharp sticks like those other boys?"
"Oh, no. I know dragons are very sensitive and intelligent." The dragon looked at the boy with new respect. "It sure is pretty up here. Do you plan on staying?"
"Well, I don't know. I like it here. I don't need much. I don't do a lot of rampaging or chasing knights. I mostly just think."
"Well, what do you think about?"
"Well, I write poems and stories, just for fun, you know."
"Well, me too. But nobody else in the village does that." And so thereafter, each day the boy would come to the top of the highest hill, and the dragon would tell his tales of long ago when many dragons roamed the land. And the boy would tell his stories and the verses that he had written. But one day the boy had a different message. "You know, you can't stay here. Most people think that dragons are the enemies of the human race. Soon the people of the village will come with weapons and drive you out."
"But you know I wouldn't hurt anyone. I was hoping I could stay."
But the warning of the boy soon came true. There are no secrets in a small town, and soon everyone knew about the dragon. And even though he hadn't harmed as much as a chicken, tales of his violence and his depravity spread far and wide. Why, to hear the men down at the village tavern each night, it was only their bravery and courage that kept all the women and children and livestock from being devoured. But in the morning, it was only the brave boy who went to the top of the highest hill. But one day, the village was all abuzz with excitement. News of the dragon had traveled all the way to England, and St. George was coming to slay the dragon. The people cheered and lined the roads as St. George rode in on his tall white warhorse, his armor glowing gold in the sunset. The next morning, the boy found St. George at breakfast. "St. George, this dragon won't hurt anyone."
Well, by Jove, I think I know a lot about dragons, son, and they aren't always truthful.
"But this one is. You must meet him." And so St. George and the boy hiked to the top of the highest hill. And St. George did in fact find that the dragon was kind and peaceful.
Oh, by Jove, now what are we going to do? I told the people of the village that I would slay a dragon. I have a reputation to uphold. Don't you at least have some damsels in distress? I like rescuing fair maidens.
"Wait," said the boy, "I have an idea." And the three huddled together and whispered. When St. George returned to the village, the news soon spread that he would slay the dragon the next day. The next morning found the people of the village streaming up the top of the highest hill with their picnic baskets full of food and wine. They laid their blankets near the cave and waited for the entertainment to begin. At about noon, they saw St. George coming up the hill on his tall horse, his armor and his sword glinting in the sunlight. Hearing the clink of the armor, the dragon jumped out of the cave, breathing smoke and fire, cracking his tail like a whip, getting dangerously close to the picnickers. St. George charged! But the dragon easily deflected the first two charges and in fact drew blood on the knight's horse. But the third charge, the lance of St. George, struck the dragon squarely and the dragon went down. The crowd cheered. Crying, the boy rushed to the dragon, only to have the dragon wink at him. The boy's plan had worked. The knight had struck the dragon in exactly the spot where his scales were the thickest and impenetrable. St. George stood in triumph over the dragon. But when the dragon began to stir, someone yelled, "Off with his head!"
Not yet, said St. George.
And George and the boy led the defeated dragon down into the village, where a great celebration was planned. After much food and drink, St. George rose to speak.
People of the village, on the way down the hill, the dragon promised me that if he's able to stay at the top of the highest hill, that he will protect this village from all intruders and all other dragons forever. I have known many dragons, and I find this one to be trustworthy. The dragon shall live.
The people were stunned, disappointed. But after a few more drinks, they were soon saying, "Hail to the dragon!" The dragon stepped forward.
I want to thank St. George and the people of the village.
And then, like any frustrated storyteller that finally has an audience, he started telling his stories. But alas, all good things must come to an end, and when the keg was empty, the villagers filed out one by one. And soon it was only the boy and the dragon. And the boy had promised the dragon that he would walk him up the hill because the dragon was afraid of the dark. But the boy was very young and it was very late, and they'd only gone a short way when the boy lay down by the side of the road and the dragon lay down next to him. And that is where St. George found them the next day. He roused them, and the three of them together, arm in arm, walked to the top of the highest hill.